So we are talking about
So Ineptitude Gaming suggests don't put your dick in crazy.
Right. The more you know. E3.
Welcome to Ineptitude Gaming presents.
You know what that
E3 Talkie Talk?
The E3 Talkie Talk.
You cut my dick off, assholes.
Well, you don't cut their dick off when you neuter them. It's their balls.
You know who you are.
Yeah.
So
E3 has been going. Is still going on.
E3 is still going on, but I mean, the Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo all did their.
Yeah, and Nintendo's was very short.
Well, they didn't.
Compared to the rest of them.
The past few years, Nintendo just has decided like we're not going to really do an E3 presence. We're going to go and do like a mini thing.
Yeah. What did they call their thing this time? The Treehouse?
Yeah.
The Nintendo Treehouse?
Treehouse Live.
Yeah.
So that's what they ended up doing. Let's see. So I guess do we just want to go down the list like Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo?
Let's do that. I feel like I shouldn't be here because I didn't watch any of it.
This is where you get to learn stuff and you can react.
Right?
You can react.
Welcome to
Garrett
our reaction
reacts.
videos.
So Garrett reacts to what we talk about.
Okay, so Microsoft announced.
Let's start with Nintendo since it was the easiest to talk about.
Okay, I guess Nintendo pretty much talked about 2 games during their entire thing. Pokemon
Yep.
Sun and Moon, where they did like an hour demo of that.
Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild. So I was telling Garrett about this earlier for Zelda. It's much more because we had the discussion, is Zelda an RPG?
This one might be.
This one, everything that they go and point out about it makes it sound like an RPG. Weapons break, clothes have stats, more typical of an RPG, more open world.
Your enemies drop things that you can equip, not you just find it in a treasure chest. There's treasure chests. There's
also mini shrines, they said. So you find like shrines and things like that.
I'm also sort of confused. Okay. I missed the beginning part of the Nintendo briefing, but he also said something about those watcher things that were outside the temple that were kind of like collapsed with moss growing on them.
Yeah.
He said that we saw earlier in the trailer that those were alive. So is there going to be another time travel? Hopefully not. I don't think they need to.
Maybe there might not be time travel, but it might just be over the course of the game. Like you find them, or like you find them earlier, and then over in the course of the game, it's showing that time has passed.
What if it's universe travel instead?
Like parallel universes?
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually curious because since they came out with the Zelda timeline, where this one would fit into the whole. Because they showed a bit of a map and it was like Mount Hylia and things like that. So I think this is probably going to be after Skyward Sword.
That makes sense.
Because since Skyward Sword was like the very beginning.
They also said that the map is 12 times the size
of Twilight
Princess. That's crazy.
This looks really nice.
And even tying into Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
Even tying into Twilight Princess.
And that's not even NX.
Yeah, that's Wii U.
That's Wii U.
And it's going to be on the NX as well. Now, the other fun thing that they talked about was using the amiibos. So you can use the Wolf Link amiibo to go and basically Wolf Link would appear in your game and kind of like attack enemies, find items for you, and that sort of thing. And he has 3 hearts. But if you do the Twilight Princess Trials quest, the Twilight quests,
the Twilight Princess twat,
in the Wii U version, then you can get more hearts for it. So then you can kind of save them on the amiibo. And then when you put it in the game, which I think is interesting because it's kind of tying 2 links together. So I don't know if it's supposed to be a wolf representing Link
or if it's just a wolf,
or if it's just a wolf, or it is a wolf Link, and it's like he crosses generations or times or things like that. Since we all know they're connected. And then there was Sun and Moon, where they did like the beginning of the game. Technically, they're like, oh, you already got your first Pokemon going on Route 1, and they announced. They showed 2 in-game, and then they released a video afterwards for a 3rd one.
This is so artistic.
I know. Zelda looks fantastic. Like,
it looks, it's...
I mean, we were talking about, I think in the last podcast, about with like there always being a Zelda game and everything like that, as we were talking about before E3. This is, I want to get a Wii U before this, but this is easily a reason to go and get a Wii U.
Oh, yeah. This would be a reason to get a Wii U. It'll also be a reason to get an NX.
Yeah. Like, it just looks fantastic. They even said, like, there's not that much difference, though, between the Wii U version and the NX version. So, I don't know if it's gonna be like when Twilight Princess came out, because that was like when the Wii came out.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, we're gonna have the GameCube version and the Wii version be the same game, just mirrored.
Yeah, I actually kind of thought that was a cool idea.
To show like different hands, so
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
It's kind of neat.
Pokemon had the young goose who looks like Donald Trump with the hair, which is like that's just spawned that online.
Picky
Peck and Grubbin. Who Grubbin they didn't really show in the game, but it's supposed to be like in the same area because Ralph and I were talking about it because I'm like, they showed it in the game. They're like, oh, we found a Pokemon, and then right afterwards, I'm like, how are they going to do like the official launch video? And they did it for the 3 of them, which made me think it was like they knew they had the chance of running into any of the 3 of them, and they're like, we're just going to announce these now.
Yeah, and then you'll get those.
And so it was definitely cool. They showed some cool features for it. You can actually see now during the battle, like how much you're lowering their stats. So instead of like when you go into a growl, it lowers their attack once. You normally just like I have to manually count like once, twice. You can actually click on their little icon and you can actually see like a down arrow or an up arrow.
That's a good
Oh my god, another battle mode? This is getting out of hand.
And then the new battle mode is Battle Royale. So it's 4 people, and basically you all have like a set amount, like 1 through 6. And the first person, it ends when the first person loses all their Pokemon, and then it ranks you depending on how many you have left and how many you've defeated. So it is important for you to get the killing blow quote.
Kill secure.
It. Yeah, kill secure.
Marowak, no!
So then moving on, it was Microsoft we'll go to.
Okay, Microsoft.
They had a decent E3. It was...
I mean, they started with Scorpio, which I guess that's not really a game.
They didn't start with Scorpio. They ended with Scorpio.
Oh, true.
They started with the 1S, and then they went to Gears 4, which looked awesome.
Gears 4 looks awesome. I mean, it looks like Gears. That's all I can say. It looks like a Gears game, and it looks the same artistic style. I mean, I'm curious about the whole story behind it, but
how
it looks
finished off with Phoenix, with Marcus.
Yes.
That was kind of cool.
So they did it because I was curious if they were going to be like, oh, he's dead.
Yeah, this is a whole new cast of characters. But no, here's Marcus.
Yeah, so because you play as his son.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, I wonder if they're just going to be like, oh, he's like fighting for his dad, like the normal vengeance thing, or like remembrance. Nope, Marcus is just old, gray, and has white hair.
The other thing they brought up too that was kind of awesome was the new Horde mode. Didn't see him talk too much about it, but I did see that only the host has to have all of the maps for everybody to be able to play on it. That's kind of cool.
That's a really cool concept.
That's a good move.
Let's see. They also did right after that. They started with they talked about the Xbox Play Anywhere.
Yep, Play Anywhere sounds like a good idea.
Which is definitely a good idea because, I mean, when you have Windows 10 games and you have Xbox games, why not go and just make it so you only have to pay now for once for the game and you can play it on either one.
The digital copy.
But yeah, it has to be the digital copy.
If you buy the digital copy, you can play it on your Windows 10
and
or
just
your Xbox.
And just a disc.
But it saves it keeps your save in the cloud, so wherever you just pick up, it pulls from wherever you're at. So that's cool. Then they talked about they had Dead Rising 4.
The Dead Rising 4, which goes back to Frank.
And it's Christmas.
It's Christmas themed. I thought that was a very...
He had like a neat little like mech outfit.
He had the mech outfit. He had the bow that was like the candy
cane. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
And it's supposed to be back in the original area in Colorado. So I'm curious. I'm curious why he's back in Colorado. Because when they first showed him, they said it was Colorado. People were like, "Oh, it's maybe a reboot." But nope, it takes place because even part of the trailer, which I thought was interesting, is like because he's like scrolling through like his Twitter and everything, and he's like sending photos of like the zombies and things like that to people. So I think he's sending a photo of what's his name from 2 when he was because like
Chuck.
Yeah. So there was like the cave.
I immediately just thought of Dane Cook.
Like there was the like
case,
not K0, but like the Heading West or whatever for Dead Rising 2, like the DLC, where it's like Frank's version of it. There was there was the photo of that zombie with him, so
I was probably like, I almost died there. Let's go back for funsies.
They brought up Recore.
They brought up Recore.
Showed up quite a bit of Recore. That looked fun.
Recore looked fun the first time. I thought it was an interesting concept, but I think showing the different characters you can have definitely makes it really interesting. The different types. They talked about, they talked about Killer Instinct and new characters. So like they're bringing in with Gears. They're like, hey, because that was right after
General
actually.
Ram. Oh yeah, it was right after.
Because they're like speaking of Gears and
General
Ram, and you can play him this week.
Okay.
They talked about let's see,
Forza
Horizon 3, which I mean I haven't really played the Horizon games.
I'm not really a big fan of racing games, so it looked good.
They talked about
the seamless dropping in and out of people's games looked pretty cool.
That's a really good idea, and I'm glad that someone finally is doing that. Especially for a racing game, it makes sense.
It's in Australia, so there's all sorts of different terrain.
And so they have they're like
down on the beach and stuff like that.
So they're like 4 people.
Deadliest?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They talked about the Witcher card game.
Gwent.
Yep.
That's becoming a real thing.
Gwent they're making into an actual.
Gwent, so I don't want to play a whole game of it, but there are people I know that freaking love Gwent. So
Gwent's becoming its own thing.
It's its own standalone.
See, I still don't really get it.
With its own story mode and everything like that.
They
talked about Halo Wars 2.
Yep.
Which actually I thought it was a typical Halo trailer where you're like, it shows like a giant fight and you have like the 2 generals that are actually like marching towards each other during it, and like things are exploding and it's just like their face off, and then like everything goes around it, and it takes place on the Ark. Is what they said. They're like, they found this mysterious thing outside the galaxy called the Ark, and I'm like, okay, so we've already been to the Ark.
If you have Halo fans, they know what the Ark is.
Yeah. So it's just like, been to the Ark.
That's cool though, because I enjoyed the first one. So
yeah, it'll be interesting. The beta's going on right now. If you want to get in on it,
is it free?
Yeah,
it is free. You can download that. They talked about
on the vein of Halo. I'm super surprised there's no talk of like
the next one.
Anything else?
I think that'll be next year.
Really?
Because I think
like
they said they're going to alternate it. That I think like the next one's Wars 2, and then comes 6.
Taking a page out of Star Wars book, huh?
Yeah. I get them.
Probably. They talked about Minecraft had actually a pretty cool showing.
Minecraft Realms. The dude on stage was so awkward, and it was great.
That was the best part. Was the awkward dude. So they called it. I think they called it the friendly update, where it's like it's to sync. Like it's not for consoles yet. It's just PC. It's just PC and Pocket and.
So it's basically mobile versions of PC.
Yeah, that can all in what they call Minecraft.
So I can go into your world when you're not there.
Right.
Yeah. So they think they said they're gonna do consoles next year.
But the guy after he said it, he just like, okay, that's it.
Yeah, they finish showing off, and they're showing off using the VR and everything, which actually the VR looks fantastic for it. But it's not like the holodeck or the HoloLens where it's like, oh, we're gonna build it. It's like he had the goggles on and he's just walking around destroying things, and it looks just like first person.
That's awesome.
Which was really, really cool.
Was he using a controller or the?
Yeah, he was using the controller for it.
That wasn't the Oculus Rift, though, was it?
No, it was the Oculus. The Oculus is coming out with a controller.
I see. Okay.
Or the touch ones.
Yeah. So that was actually a pretty cool idea that they had. They had Sea of Thieves, which is kind of interesting. It's like an open world pirate game.
Oh yeah.
Where like you can build ships. I mean, the trailer was kind of funny, where it's like you watch like the one people he's like I think we're sinking, and it cuts to him, and he's like he's like I don't know, like the below deck, and the whole thing is like filled with water, and he's like I think we're gonna go under. And then they're like, yeah, we're victorious. And then a huge ass ship just pulls up and just like wrecks them.
It'll probably be fun, but I don't think it's gonna be something I'm gonna be like driven to need to buy.
State of Decay 2.
That looked awesome.
I mean, people who love State of Decay, I know a lot of people love that game. State of Decay 2 looked fantastic.
It looks really good.
Tekken 7.
I don't care about Tekken.
I thought that was
interesting. But they did have the 2 guys from Saturday Night Live looking people on there. The Japanese dude that didn't say a single word except for hey. But he was wearing the full I don't know, it's not a Bushido, but maybe that's what it was.
It was a kimono.
Yeah, and then there's his translator right next to him, and he was just awkwardly standing there the whole time.
And then he would just be like at the end, he'd be like, "Thank you, have a good E3." And I laughed and I'm like, "Okay." Let's see. They did the Vision. They were talking about the underground expansion a little bit with the randomly generated quests.
Will be kind of neat.
Which I thought was interesting, because I don't know. I'm curious how that's going to really work.
It probably won't at first, but
well, if it was the Vision, it wouldn't make sense.
If it made sense if it worked at first.
And then I haven't listened that much about the game, but Scalebound, which is you have a dragon but it's modern-ish.
It looks it just makes me think of like a Final Fantasy where you get your own dragon. I'm so in on it.
I mean, it looked fantastic. Like,
and the fact that it's like drop in and drop out co-op too looks like.
Is that what that was?
I think that's what it was. Yeah.
Because it's like he was fighting it, and at the end, like he jumps on the heart, and then 4 people show up. But then at the end, like everyone joins in. I'm like, I thought it was maybe like a whole split person thing, but nope. I don't.
It was 4 people, so I'm pretty stoked on that. I think what it almost looked like too was this is the year that Microsoft wants people to like play together. Like, because if you look at it, like, a lot of games were like multiplayer stuff.
I mean, you had obviously Halo Wars would be one, Gears is one, Forza was a huge one for it. Sea of Thieves was a huge one for it. State of Decay, the way they made it out with the 3 people in the car was that's going to be bigger with co-op. It was definitely a big. Even Minecraft, it was definitely there. Like everyone play together. Like it was more of the play anywhere, but also like play anywhere with anyone.
And then, kind of I guess kind of just to cap off Microsoft, really, the bringing up Scorpio, which I had a Fry moment where it was just take my money.
Actually, before we get to that, I was just reading something on Microsoft or the Minecraft, and it says that the Xbox One versions are cross-compatible with that. So I'm curious. I think we have to actually test that out.
See if we can get it first.
See if the console does work. Not I just read that, and I was like, that's real. Because I thought they said it later, because I've heard like mixed things about that. Because if it is the Xbox One, that's fantastic.
The Xbox One sort of has like a PC architecture in a way.
But I mean, even the whole like when someone's not there, because that's definitely something that I know a lot of people that play the console version, like us, would really benefit from the Minecraft realms.
Speaking of, does the PC version have controller support, or does it?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but you can kind of do more with the commands.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I would like a controller.
Yeah. Just
so I can sit back and play it.
I have to go back to what you were saying.
Project Scorpio. So, stupid powerful GPU using words like teraflops, which I don't know what that means, but it's got 6 of them.
Google.
Gigawatts?
Well, so it said that it's got 6 teraflops. The current Xbox One has 1.34 teraflops. So you're at like 4 point something times more powerful, which sounds good. But I mean, the things that win for it are 4K gaming, and that like basically how developers build for like different types of PC support. So like ultra settings and whatnot. That they're talking like probably that's what the Scorpio is going to be.
So here's the definition: a unit of computing speed equal to 1 million million, 10 to the 12th, floating point operations per second.
So that's a lot of flops.
That is a lot. I mean, that's what a tera is.
Give me that many flops.
But I think it's also just funny when they're talking about even the 1S, that they were just like,
"Are you marking me for death?"
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, it has like HDR capability."
Yeah,
it's just, and I want to be like, "Oh, you mean like the old one had, the PS4 has?"
The one thing that you can do with it though, it's a 4K Blu-ray player, which right now they're $400 anyway. Jesus. So the fact that you can get a 4K Blu-ray player that's also a gaming console for the same price is pretty incredible.
So I think that, I mean, they definitely had a good showing. But we can talk about Sony, and then we can go into our opinions on all of them. So you watched more of Sony's than
so what was amazing was Sony came out and they started talking about games, and then that's all they showed was games. So they brought up God of War, brand new God of War. Where it's Norse.
Which I thought the symbol was interesting, because like God of War typically was the Omega symbol, and now it was a circle with a bunch of runes in it.
Yep.
Yeah, it was Norse. They watched the little clip of that. So it still is Kratos. Now
still is
Kratos.
Yeah, Beardos.
Has a son.
He has a son there,
which is a huge thing. I thought what was funny was he's like, I'm going to teach you how to hunt, and so he like takes him to kill the deer, and then the deer runs away. They run into a giant ass troll, fight the troll, kill the troll, and then he's like, let's go find that deer.
Yeah.
And it's also like the deer ran past the troll and everyone to where it was, and then at the end it's just like you kill the deer, and then he's like, oh, it's just beginning, and it shows like a dragon, and then like the fog clears, and you're like, oh well, we're clearly like in Norse area now. One of the things that was brought up was whether or not you were playing as his son, but since then, because since E3 is still going on, they've said that there's just a button dedicated to the son, that you're traveling together, which I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, I'm not...
Because, I mean, if it was... Because I know we were talking about it earlier, and if it was like you played at the prologue as Kratos, as like the transition, and then you played the main story as the son, I mean, that would be like a huge-ass cliche, but... It would also be a good transition to be like, now we're going from Greek to Norse.
Yeah.
Instead, they're just going to be like, yeah, we're going to go keep Kratos because he's eternal now, and now he just goes and fights the Norse gods. It's like, what's after that? He's going to go to fucking Egypt? Like, he's going to every pantheon and just like gonna kill all of the gods, so he's the only god.
Eventually he'll get to Jesus.
No. That's what his son's name is.
Oh,
his son's gonna become immortal, and then it's gonna be all about Christianity.
Interestingly enough, he's really gonna make him tacos.
Surprise! I just got that. After God of War, they talked about some Last Guardian.
Last Guardian, which actually has a release date now.
Yeah, I don't remember what day it was, but
October 15th. I'm pretty sure. Sometime.
I don't want to get excited for release dates anymore.
That's the thing. I'm like, oh, they finally announced the release date for it, October 13th, and I was like, is it actually going to be October 13th? Yeah. Especially for everything that's happened with The Last Guardian. I mean, if it actually comes out, the problem is you run the risk, especially because we were talking about like last time with like hype and with delays and everything. It's like Last Guardian beats every game that's pretty much had a delay because it's been around and existed for like 7 years now.
Yeah, it's been around for a long time.
And they're like, but it's supposed to be the super hype game. I feel like if it's not anything less than perfect, then you're going to lose a lot of people.
It's not going to be perfect, but it should be fun. Shadow of the Colossus was great. It's still one of my favorite games. If it has anything even remotely in common, I will thoroughly enjoy it. After that, there was a little bit of Final Fantasy 15 stuff.
I thought that I watched a bit of the fight that they had for Final Fantasy 15.
Okay, the Final Fantasy 15 fight was on Xbox. And that dude was terrible.
I was going to say, because that was...
He was so bad.
It was funny because it was bad.
Yeah, I think they must have had something turned on where he couldn't die. Because, like, his health got down to 0 several times. But he still didn't die. But
that's the best thing to do in a demo. You lose.
That was the one thing that Sony really harped on. Well, I guess I didn't harp on, but they showed a lot of is VR.
But even that,
there's Final Fantasy 15 VR,
which someone said, like, I've seen things, and a lot of people just don't seem impressed by it. They're like, at least for the VR for Final Fantasy 15. Yeah. I mean, the PlayStation VR is still going to be fantastic, but it's just like for Final Fantasy 15, it's like so.
Yeah. I'm really curious to see what Final Fantasy 15 is going to be like.
I thought one of the interesting things they said was the pause. That you can pause and kind of like strategize and like stops time, like during a fight. And I'm like, so it's an active pause. Well,
because Noctis sort of controls time a little bit, doesn't he?
I think that's what they're saying. So that's why like pauses would make sense.
Yeah. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see that. Then they talked about Horizon. That game looks super fun. The prehistoric looking people fighting robots that can kind of look like dinosaurs. Like, sign me up. From the same people who did Killzone.
Okay.
So they took themselves from like very close corridor touch style shooter stuff to open world.
I mean, Killzone in the series, like, I know people who absolutely love that series. Like, it's supposed to be.
They were okay. It was one of those things where I bought it because I had a PlayStation and I didn't know what else to play, so I was like, hey, Killzone's probably good. And then they talked about Detroit, Become Human. So that was weird. Think Heavy Rain, but with androids. So that was a little strange. Not too sure how I feel about that one.
One thing we did forget about, which I just thought of, we'll go back to quickly Microsoft, was the We Happy Few.
Oh, yeah.
Which, because as soon as you said Detroit, it reminded me of that. We Happy Few being the kind of like they look like splicers in a way.
I totally thought Bioshock as soon as I saw them.
And the way in the futuristic parts, but it was like in the 60s.
And they take their pills to forget being sad and stuff
like
that.
They take their joy.
Yeah.
And then
did you take your joy?
And like and the trailer was just because it was like so dark at the same time as like trying to be happy. It was that Bioshock like, because they're like, oh, we're here, we're beating up this pinata, and like the guy's like not taking his joy, and then all of a sudden he sees it's like an animal.
Yeah, there's a rat that they've been beating and eating.
And so he's eating, and they're like, you have to take your joy, and like, we have a downer, and like all these guys chase him, like these cops chase him and everything. That looks fantastic, and they said that that's the like how they did with Ark being like the early access game preview. That is July's game preview, is We Happy Few. So you can go and get that, talk to the developers about how to make it better, that sort of thing. I'm pretty excited for that game, just because it looks like a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. But I definitely did think, as soon as I saw it, I thought Bioshock. I wouldn't be surprised if Ken Levine was involved in it somehow. Even if only spiritually.
Could be his new company.
Yeah, there you go. Detroit, I don't know. So, like, Heavy Rain was fun, but I think the story was fun because it was, like, you got really emotionally invested because it was your child and all that stuff. Detroit, I'm not sure. It looks great, but visually, but I'm not too terribly certain how I feel about playing as an android. They talked about Resident Evil 7. That looked kind of awesome.
Now, who do you play as?
I didn't really show anything. It was the way that the preview was set up. It was all for VR, which looked fun. I want it. That might be a reason I get a PlayStation VR.
I think what they did with the logo is somewhat clever, but it was kind of in the name, because the I and the L, or the L kind of looking like an I, so you just make the block at the bottom white while the rest of it's yellow. You knew they were going to do that eventually. They're like, hey, we have the letters.
Supposedly, the demo went live the other night. I have not checked yet. But what else was there? There was new Spider-Man that's a PlayStation exclusive.
By, I think, Insomniac?
Yeah, it was Insomniac, right? Yeah, Ratchet & Clank developer, Insomniac. So that should be fun. It looked pretty decent. The only thing that sucks is, like, it's an exclusive. And I don't know, Spider-Man games are always so hit or miss.
I was going to say, that's the thing with Spider-Man games. Like, you're like, oh, cool, a Spider-Man game. But then you're like...
It's a Spider-Man game. It's like, it's a Spider-Man game. I'm not going to kill anybody. There was Crash Bandicoot being remastered. That was kind of cool because the guy walked out on stage and his shadow was Crash.
That's cool.
They had that set up. That was kind of neat.
That's really cool, yeah.
Now, is it being remastered by Naughty Dog?
I believe so, yeah.
Well, I mean, you think, like, after they're done with Uncharted, they kind of need something to do now.
Yeah. The last thing that I will mention with freaking Sony is they showed this awesome, and we talked about this the other day, there's this, like, preview that was this awesome space battle, and, like, just the way that the gun combat was, and, like, stabbing robots, and, like, flying through, like, space with this neat little tether. I was like, hell yeah, like, what is this? I'm kind of excited for this. And then, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Like,
that's why you never
son of a bitch. They almost got me excited for it.
Which, Kit Harington is the bad guy for, apparently.
That'll be interesting. And then, last of all, freaking Kojima-san's entrance was amazing.
Death Stranding.
He came out, showed off Death Stranding, starring Norman Reedus. The trailer is who knows what the hell's going on. He's holding a baby.
Which
disappeared. 5 guys in the sky that disappeared.
Then there's all the washed up water creatures. He's naked. His hands are covered in oil.
He's got handcuffs on.
His handcuff looks like futuristic handcuffs. The necklace has equations, which are about the relativity and quantum mechanics. So people are like, does it involve like time travel, alternate universes, like what's going on?
I don't know, but it'd be really funny if it was supposed to be called Death Standing. Fire that guy.
What if it was actually like supposed to be a spiritual like successor to The Walking Dead? Like,
that'd be weird. If Norman Reedus was like the only one that survives or something. There was another thing too that someone pointed out on Reddit I saw yesterday was the person in Kojima's new studio mascot kind of looks like he has Norman Reedus eyes.
But they went and said that the logo has nothing to do with the game.
I really want that costume somewhere.
Like they just flat out because someone came up with like the theory. They're like, what if that's like the costume that has to do with the time travel, because I think even
did you see it?
I think the way that they
freaking Spartan almost.
I think the way that they did it was interesting. Because first they show like the skull and the helmet, then they show the full body, and then they're like, oh, by the way, there's actually a person underneath that, and that's just a mask. And you're like, okay, so why would a person need to wear a mask inside a space helmet? But that's beside the point, because it looks totally badass. I guess.
I think that's all they're
That's the
getting
important stuff.
Which Kojima is just pure
Freaking
badass.
Kojima.
I mean, Solid Snake is supposed to be
That's
badass.
so sick.
Yeah.
So
And then, like, there's just the vector one.
Gotcha.
So it's definitely, I want to say, interesting. Like I think. So overall, I think it was a really good show.
It was. I do believe though that Sony won. Microsoft had a lot of cool stuff going on, talked about hardware, but I think Sony did excellent by just coming out. They had, I think, realistically, only 3 times where the guy came out to talk, but it was just game. Like, that. I think that was awesome. I don't need all the fluff stuff. Like, Ubisoft's presentation was so annoying because they would announce, they'd show off the game, and then they'd have an interview on stage. And then they'd leave, and then they'd come back out, show a game, have an interview. It was like freaking almost 3 hours long.
Jeez.
It was way too much.
Taking their time.
Aisha Tyler was fun, but you can only watch so much. The highlight of the Ubisoft one, though, was South Park, The Fractured But Whole. They said that Marvel wanted to call Captain America Civil War The Fractured But Whole, but they had a trademark, so they had to go Civil War.
Yeah, I would say they did say it was more like superhero.
Yeah, the character archetypes looked like there was definitely a character that's like the Flash, and then the Coon.
Savior of the universe.
Damn it! But yeah, it looked fun enough. I mean, Stick of Truth was fun. This is supposed to be the next day. The kids have stopped playing fantasy and they want to play superheroes now. And they keep calling the other kid a douchebag. Well.
Fantasy stupid.
I don't know. E3 was good. I'm excited.
We're gonna be a superhero.
It's definitely
Things that I expected to see, I didn't see. I really thought it would have been smart for them to talk about Destiny 2, considering it's coming out. It's coming out next year.
I mean, I think that'd be smart, but considering the fact that Bungie just had like was it The Rise of Iron?
Yeah.
They just had like a whole thing about that. Like,
but if you think about
4 days ago, or
but if you
5
think
days
about
ago.
it, the game's going to release in 2017. So we say, worst case, they go September of 2017 again. If they wait until E3 to bring it up, that means they go from announcement to release in 3 months.
But even the way that they're going to do it, they might pull a Bungie and make it July 7th. On Bungie Day.
7/7/17.
Well, not necessarily even release it then, but I mean,
Just
like
announce
this
it.
year, do like a teaser for it, like probably
Well, I guess
promotional art.
They really
or,
are
like,
doing a
week.
whole lot more with their Twitch stream, where they have a lot more control about showing stuff. But E3 is the place to show stuff.
Right.
Like, that's where you get hype.
Well, here's the thing with that though. If it's coming out in a year, do you really want all that hype right now? Because
They need it.
well, so once
But
once you create that trailer, or the concept art, or whatever it is, you're essentially making it real for everybody, even if they already know it's this date next year, supposedly.
Well, I think part of it with Destiny is you look at how long they hyped Destiny itself, the first one. They hyped it for years. I remember being in college and seeing the hanging prisons that were eventually in Taken King.
Also, just so you know, Nick is 40.
I am 40.
So college was a long time ago.
85.
Everything we say is
Bungie that
100%
didn't
true.
exist. But I saw like that, and then I remember playing Taken King, and it was the Sunless Cell, I think it was. And then I'm like running down that path to go to for the boss, and I'm just like standing there for a second. I'm like, I remember seeing this concept art 4 years ago, and I was just like, that's ridiculous. That, and then even going back to what we talked about with Bungie originally being like, Taken King is going to be part of the original, like that whole first 3 expansions were supposed to be part of the game originally.
Mm-hmm.
Like they had planned for that, and then they're like, yeah, we're gonna go and cut it off here and then make expansions. Like, the fact that they had the concept art for something that came out actually a year afterwards, was ridiculous. That they're like, oh yeah, by the way, here's the stuff that we actually had planned 4 years ago, and we're actually just gonna go on and release it now. So I think with them, they're gonna be like, yeah, we're gonna focus on Rise of Iron right now because that's gonna be like probably the end to 1, and then there might be a teaser at the end of that for 2.
The one thing that I did see that gives me some hope is that Luke Smith has been moved to the creative director for Destiny 2. Luke Smith is the one who did most of the writing and stuff for the Taken King, so at least that means there could be a story.
Good.
Could be.
I also think it's a good idea that they're letting go of old generation consoles.
Yeah.
Upgrade fools.
Baby, come back.
By doing what that Rise of Iron will not work on PS3 or Xbox 360.
Yep.
So, I mean, I feel like when they had it and people would play it, it was kind of like the last game you can really be getting for them.
Yeah.
It's like the last thing. And now they're like, yeah, we're stopping that. People are like, seriously? And it's just like, well, I don't know if you can transfer the characters over, but I was going to say, just get if you have an Xbox One, you're going to have to get an Xbox One anyway for Destiny 2.
I mean, not to mention, they've cut off support for 360, for a while now.
Yeah.
It's funny when we get people to come into our place of employment that
talk about
can I get, a 360 controller or 360 games?
No. No, I think
there's 5 of them back there, maybe.
I think I've seen
there's people that come in for cassettes and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's true. We do have cassette players.
Yeah, but not
cassettes.
No. We barely have CDs.
Right?
Do you guys have the Betamax? Yeah. I mean, I didn't see that much about Sony, but considering E3's whole purpose is games, and Sony's whole thing was games.
Sony did.
And they didn't really, by not having that interaction between that even Microsoft would have, where they would talk about the game for a little while. Even Tekken, at the end they're like, that's how the combat is going to be, cutscenes interwoven inside the fights. And I'm like, okay, you could have just announced that later or given that as a tidbit. Just leave it at that, and then
I don't need you on stage.
There was so much awkwardness, mostly in the Minecraft. That guy, I think he
was so good.
He just didn't know what to do. He was the person for this E3. Because quite literally, he's just
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Standing there.
We're done now.
He's just standing there, and he had the surface, and he tells the person he's with after the end, he looks at her and he goes, okay, so we're done now. And she awkwardly puts the iPad at her side, and then people are clapping, and he's just like, do I stand here? Am I supposed to let them clap?
The funny thing is, they had to have practiced at least once.
I don't think he was there for it.
Yeah, he missed
Go
it.
for it, sport.
You got this.
Because even when John Carmack came out and was not Carmack. Is it Carmack that does Oculus? I want to say John Carmack, but John Carmack was id Software. I want to say he left id Software to do Oculus.
John Basinger?
It might be Carmi. But whoever is the head of Oculus was the one that was demoing for Minecraft for me. I knew the
John
best.
Connor?
Yeah, John Connor. The best part was because he was on a little stage above the regular stage with the goggles on, and he's walking around. I'm like, he's gonna fall off. Okay, he's just gonna fall off.
We're gonna see a man tied in an Oculus
Rift. He was just like, this is fantastic, and he's walking around, and we're just like, he's gonna hit the edge. Luckily, he just kept turning around and then using the controllers to go and kind of do most of the movement and everything. But yeah, I think if we're going off of games, the focus on games, then Sony wins. I mean. You can easily say Sony, and I think Sony and Microsoft each had games that were fantastic for them, and I wasn't expecting Nintendo to really show up because they've just not cared. They've said that their focus is on the Nintendo Directs that they do 40 times a year, that they go on there we're going to go on and talk about a game at this point, and you're like, it's a Tuesday night, and they're like, yeah, we're going to talk about it, okay, everybody be ready.
Did you know Nintendo's one of the reasons why games are starting to come out on Fridays?
I think they said because of the weekend.
So the whole reason stuff came out on Tuesdays is because of SoundScan, with the way the albums are released, and because of movies, they count Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday as the weekend, and then when Tuesday is when new stuff comes out. Nintendo doesn't deal with any of that crap. They just do it over in Japan. It's a Friday. Stuff comes out on Fridays.
But I think it's
that's why you've noticed new games now come out on Fridays.
I think because part of it is also supposed to be the weekend. I mean, unless it's one of those games that they're like, we're going to go and have like a symbolic date that it comes out on. But yeah, I don't know. I think it was overall a good E3. I mean, there's been in the past few years even there's just been awful E3s. Like
that year where they didn't let the public in.
There was the year they didn't let the public in.
That was the worst E3 ever.
There was I think it was actually the same year that Microsoft was like, here's all the cool things about the Xbox One. You can go Skype with your friends while talking about fantasy football, and
they didn't.
Like,
awkward. Hi, Phil.
And they're the same person.
Yeah, it's actually me. Sorry.
In a mask.
So why the fuck do we have this shitty little speaker then?
Because it's his alternate personality.
Yeah, I don't know how to be him.
Find
normally.
Hey.
Once. Just one accidental paycheck transfer. Right. That's all I want.
Hey Phil, what's your social security number?
Does it end in 2? There's only 9, 10 possible numbers it could be.